cute, right?
Ooh, neck hair.
Ladies, major conundrum.
What?
There is a hottie at this party that looks just like a male Lucy Liu.
Oh, yes.
Qué rico. There's a big problem, though. My penis.
I'm sorry?
You know how I have a gorgeous uncircumcised penis?
Oh, I do now.
How have I not told you about his gorgeous uncircumcised penis? You're not listening.
But I love it. I love it because it has so much more like sabor, sensitivity than normal cut penises do.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes. Circumcision exposes the penile head, decreasing sensitivity over time. The tip becomes calloused, leaving cut penises with like 5% of the pleasure experienced by intact men. Pullback gang all damn day.
Every day.
Whoa, how do you know so much about this?
Honestly, if you don't read a book soon, you're gonna forget how.
The problem is because of my particular pH balance, I am prone to having the yeasty infections.
He has one now.
That's why I'm wearing this skirt.
Oh.
But the thing is, like, I know I look good, but I don't feel sexy. So I've been thinking that maybe it is time for me to cut my pepito.
It's heavy. Should we drink?
Yeah!
Hi, guys.
Arturo, thanks so much for being here.
Oh, thanks so much for having me, man. This is such
Good to see you again.
You too. My first live interview was maybe 4 years ago with you.
You told me this backstage. I had no idea.
You set the bar too high. Now I don't like anybody else interviewing me. It's just like
Every time he meets like an established interviewer, he says, "Do you know this guy Ricky?" It's like far better than
cool it, Colbert. Okay, where's Ricky at? Okay, it's too political. Let's get Ricky. It's great.
I got that call from Colbert afterwards. He had me come to the studio. I had to teach him how to do his job. It was unfortunate.
Ratings
for the guy.
improved. You're welcome, Mr. Colbert.
It was just before his ratings started going up. It had nothing to do with Trump coverage. It was all me.
Coincidence? I think not. It's crazy, man, because when you get out of the car, there's like a bunch of paparazzis, and I was literally pulling out my phone because I was like, "Who's here?" You know what I mean? And they're like Arturo. I'm like, oh, yeah, I knew it was me. Yeah, calm down, everybody. And there's this awesome security guard. He's like, "Mr. Castro, this way." I was like, "You're taking me?" I was like, "Can I get a piggyback ride? That'd be awesome. That'd be." Yeah.
Did we just make you feel like you made it?
You totally made it.
Experience?
It's all downhill after this. It's all doing Colbert and Jimmy Fallon and all that stuff.
So like
this is the peak of it.
In 10 years, when someone is like, Arturo, when did you feel like you made it? You would be like, Build on Broadway and 4th.
Well, that piggyback was really a turning point for me. It's like a Charlie Rose moment. Well, Charlie. Yeah, I don't know why everybody, when they talk to him, they look down first. They're like so important about what they're about to say. They're like, well, Charlie, that piggyback was generous, and
they don't want to wake him up. He falls asleep after every question. He goes down.
Yeah, that's right.
Arturo, so this is your first episode back in this season of Broad City. A pretty amazing entrance. That's not the entrance. You come out earlier in the show, but a pretty amazing storyline for you.
Stop this. Thank you so much. Yeah.
So what were you thinking when you got this script?
Oh, dude, I couldn't believe that somebody. I think I have to cut my pepito is one of the funniest lines I have ever read in my life. I'm like, how did they know the exact nickname that I have? No, I'm joking. But in Guatemala, that's kind of like the nickname for it. I was like, who was there? Like,
is it really?
Yeah. I was like, who's researching Pepito? Being like, oh man, I know what he's gonna say next. You know what I mean? And so it was actually one of the most. So Ilana and I try to crack Abby up in between takes. So in that take, like. Obviously, they didn't use the ones where we were all cracking up, but I try to get as close to Abby as possible. Be like, you don't know about my uncircumcised penis, You stop. I was like, no, I love it. No, it's a great episode. I'm really happy that I managed to do Broad City this season. I'm really grateful to those ladies. They kind of started everything off for me, and without them, I don't know where I'd be, man. Really.
Well, let's go back to that when they started everything off for you, as you said. I mean, obviously, when you started doing the show, you didn't know that it was going to take off the way that it did. When did you start to notice that it took off, outside of coming to the Build Studio today? Before that,
I just noticed. Just did you guys feel that change in the atmosphere? I love your shirt, man. You kind of look like me. Actually, I'm noticing. Wait, is this where you pull out the thing of like my relatives and children? When did I notice that the show had sort of taken off?
It's your child. This
That
is
is
actually
my
an
child.
episode of.
Mijo, we will talk
This
about
is an
this in
episode
it.
of Maury. We're gonna do a DNA test in a
I am
minute.
not the father. I swear to God. The first time I noticed was one time in the subway. The train conductor just like gave me yo, and he gave me, and I like high fived the conductor as I was leaving. I was like, that is the coolest thing that I've ever done in my entire life. It's been all downhill from there. Since
That is, good on that train conductor.
was
That
like-
is the absolute best way to sort of approach a celebrity or an actor that you appreciate and admire. Instead of being like, "Hey, Arturo," or like, "Hey, you're
this
that
silent
guy."
understanding. Maybe he confused me with like a boxer or something, but
Right.
I would like to believe he was like, man, loved you with Pacquiao, and I'm like, oh yeah, cool, whatever. But at first I was way more excited.
I high fived Manny Pacquiao. It was amazing.
Oh my God, he was like, Bruno Mars is so nice, you know?
Probably really bummed out that you didn't do like a Bruno Mars shuffle after the high five. You're like,
Yeah. Like as I was walking away, he's like, do the thing. I was like, what thing, my fans?
Downtown Funk or whatever the song is called. I don't know.
I was way more excited to meet people when they started recognizing me than they were to meet me, you know? So I would take pictures with them and they'd be like, I really have to go. I was like, no, my mom's never gonna believe this, man. Come back in here. All right, let's get in there, you know? But then it took, it was my first pilot audition. I hustled for a long time. I was doing theater, where it's really what I got sort of worked on my craft. And it was my first pilot audition. I couldn't believe it, you know, because what are the odds, right? Like your first pilot turns out to get picked up. You have an actual role in it, and then it happens to be this beautiful show, you know? And it's one of those life-defining moments where I walked into the room, there's Abby and Alana, and they're like, Arturo, thank you so much for being here. And I was like, I did not have a choice. They forced me, you know? Because I was so nervous, and I think after that, it was just, I could tell that there was something good about to happen.
When you decided to play the character that way, to play Jaime that way, was it written that way in the auditions? Did it say like kind of a high-pitched voice or somewhat effeminate?
Yeah, because he's based on one of Abby's, he's a mix of a couple people, but he's based on actual people, so there was a description. What I just thought that like, Jaime appealed to the best parts of me, the more like wide-eyed, like everything, like just such a genuine, lovely human being that when I think genuine, I don't think like this, you know? I think more like, let me show you one more time what I don't think this is. This is.
That's
Why do I do
devious.
Telemundo voice all the time? Like, número uno de toda la nación. Like, I get it, all right? I don't have to do radio anymore. Thank you, Abby Lana. But so I heard the voice in my head, and it's been with me ever since, you know?
And they immediately responded to it. That's exactly what they were looking for. They knew.
Yeah. They might have even been like, tone down the accent a little bit. And I was like, no, this is it. I'm pretty sure. No. Immediately they responded to it, and they were super kind and welcoming. What you have to understand about Abby and Lana is like, they make everybody feel on that show, whether you're just there for a day or whether you know, whatever job you have, they make you feel really welcome. And that was really what I thought immediately, as in like I wanted to work with them immediately, because I was like, if somebody can make me, that I'm so nervous, feel like I totally nailed that, then I want to be in business with them for years, you know? And so here we are at Broad City season 4. I can't believe it, man. I look like the first season Jaime's uncle by this point, you know what I mean? It's just like the years have not been kind.
I remember when Comedy Central sort of bought the show initially, or did the pilot with Amy Poehler based off of the web series, and it was like this weird thing where people were like, they're doing a web series show? Like, what is this show? No one really knew that much about it except for like, you know, like real comedy nerds.
Did you point at yourself as that you're
Yeah.
referring to? Nobody
knew it.
really knew
I had
except,
watched
but
it.
I did. I predicted this all along.
Sweaty basement dwellers like looking on the internet all the time.
That's
for
right.
funny
There's like
stuff.
one leaf blower. I don't know what the leaf blower does, but that's how I imagine people in basements just act. Leaf
Hang out in
blowers.
front of leaf blowers?
I don't know. Like I
have a
wanted to
leaf
say
blower?
fans. You know, fans because you're sweaty, but a leaf blower came to mind because you guys.
I'm so sweaty that I have literally a leaf blower in my
There's
face.
a guy just.
I'm just trying to type.
I really wish this would. I hope I get a piggyback one day. Piggyback ride. I guess it was one of the first of its kind to get picked up from web series to television, and you could tell that we were working on something really original and fresh as we were shooting it. Once we got to the first season, I remember Ilana and I took a trip. She came to Guatemala with her now husband, and we were just out on the beach in Guatemala, being like, before it premiered, being like, wow, what's gonna happen? Like, but I knew that if we loved the work that much, that at the very least we did a show that we loved with our friends. So everything else was gain, and then it turned into this beautiful show.
And now you're in the middle of a pilot for Comedy Central as well.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Is this the Arturo Castro show or is this the Jaime show?
It is the Arturo Castro. It's called Deep Inside Arturo Castro. No, I'm joking. We haven't figured out. We haven't figured out. No, yeah. So it's based on the web series that we did with Comedy Central called Alternatino. It's going to be a sketch show, kind of from my perspective. You know, I think I'm Latino. No, it's going to be from like, what does it mean to be? How am I going to counteract the narrative that's out in the world right now about what Latinos are? And I feel that like comedy is a really good bridge building tool. You know, there are too many shows about what makes us different and not enough shows about what makes us the same. And I think what we all have in common is what we laugh at, you know, feeling awkward in a situation, getting a piggyback ride outside. It's all things really relatable, you know. No, but I want to find common ground between many cultures. And so Comedy Central is giving me the opportunity to write something along those lines. So I hope you like it.
What has that process been like so far?
It's great, you know. It's I've gathered throughout working all these years, you know, I've gathered people that I'm fans of, and thankfully they've responded and they've been willing to work with me on this. So every morning where I go to work, I keep forgetting that like I'm sort of like the creator, you know, and that like some of these decisions lie on me. They're like, all right, so what type of font do you want for this? I was like, man, I am picking a font. Hey, take that, law school, you know? like there's somebody asking me what, like my opinion constantly, and it's cool to feel that my voice is amplified. Empowered, and also that Comedy Central is so such an ally of people of color in my particular case, and that they're so encouraging about me finding my voice with these talented groups of people.
Now, since Broad City, you've had a couple parts and some other stuff. I want to get to Narcos in a minute, where you have an incredible part. But you were also in Billy Lynn's Halftime Walk, where you worked with Ang Lee, and that's incredible. And it was this sort of drama that was shot in 3D. I had always said that you know, you'd go see a 3D movie and it'd be a big action spectacle, and I thought it'd be so cool to see actually a drama done in 3D where you felt like you were in a room with the characters. And there were so many moments of that where I was like, this is perfect. This is exactly what I wanted. What was it like working with Ang Lee and doing that project?
Well, Ang is such a philosophical director, you know, to the point where sometimes I didn't feel smart enough to get his direction. Like, you know, like Arturo, less love, more volume, and I'm like, what the hell does that mean? You know, but it was a master class in acting for about 4 months. The most grueling process, I guess, was we did a boot camp with Navy SEALs. And like me, the actor being like, what time is brunch? No, we're not doing brunch. And that was like 2 weeks. They threw us out in the woods with these guys, took away our phones, and they wanted us to respect the uniform and to really at least get a glimpse of what these people went through. But it was hard, man. Like I learned about the architecture of violence. You know, I learned about, you know, putting mission and company first, for sure. But then we were shooting in Atlanta and Morocco, and it was such a quiet. Ang is all about like do less, you know. And so it was an interest. As an actor, you always feel like you have to do something. You know, you're standing there, you can't be boring. You know, and this camera is so clear that it's capturing sort of your thoughts. So Ang really taught me about the power of stillness. Obviously, I didn't learn it very well because I'm like jittery all the time. But it was for the rest of my life, I'll take that experience with me, no matter how many people saw it or whatever. I also learned that sometimes everything can be to its favor, and sometimes it won't connect with an audience for one reason or another. So I'm learning to release the result, man. Yeah.
I was so disappointed that movie didn't connect with a larger audience, because I thought at the very least it's important for an American audience to see a film that is both patriotic and critical of patriotism in this country and how we are patriotic. And that was one of the things that I loved about that film. Now let's talk about Narcos. I think we have a clip. Do we have a clip of Narcos that we're gonna run? Let's run that clip of Narcos.
Yeah.
Así que ahora el Principito te está dando órdenes a vos, ¿ah?
Su padre. Decir a Salcedo que busca a Palomar y que lo ponga en una casa de seguridad. Que le monte vigilancia.
Mira, ya pensaste si vas a venir esta noche. Nuestra fiesta de la feria, papá. Es importante.
Ya sabes qué es lo que yo pienso de las fiestas. Todas esas cosas son vainas de Gilberto, no son vainas mías.
Exacto. Eso es precisamente por la razón por la que vos tenés que ir. Papá, vos sos el nuevo jefe. Por favor, enseñáselo, ¿ah? Por lo menos divirtámonos un poco antes de que nos toque ser perros falderos de esta mierda.
Ooh, let's hear it.
Oh, stop. Slightly different.
Extremely different, but I think it's interesting watching that after you saying that you learned how to sort of be a bit more still with Ang Lee, because so much of what you're presenting with that character is a confidence that comes in being still.
Sure. We worked with a lot of amazing directors on Narcos that also kind of, because my character can be seen as a villain. You know, he does very sadistic stuff, but I learned that the most intimidating people, really, that you meet in the world, they're never like yelling in your face about it. You know, they're not continually angry and like beating their chest.
Yeah, people like that you can kind of just walk away from.
It's like, all right, calm down, dude. It's the people that truly take pleasure and confidence in making somebody else suffer that you really have to watch out for. And so it was definitely a new experience. I got to tell you something funny though. So that's the Cali accent from Colombia, and I learned it from a guy who has a really deep voice. So I can't do the Cali accent unless I talk like this, you know. So everybody's like, "Why is your voice going deeper?" I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about," you know. But it was 7 months shooting in Colombia among.
Was it because you wanted to do the absolute opposite of Jaime?
No, I just learned I wanted to be true to the accent, so I like imitated the dude who I learned it from, and it was just sort of like the voice sort of went down here. But all these guys, the Godfathers, were the ones that really taught me. They really changed the way I view acting. You know, they were so generous with me and so patient, because it was the first time I played a real, I wouldn't say like man, but I played a real macho guy, you know, which was a little hard for me. No, but it was a new experience to play somebody sadistic, and they were kind and they were like encouraging and they were like, "You got this, man. You got this. Try it again. Let's do this."
Where did it come from for you when you finally found it? Was it going into that deep voice?
For me, I found it I needed to have something in common with the character. What I found that him and I had in common was that he loved his father, you know. Every decision that he makes, no matter how bloodthirsty it is, it's because he wants to protect his dad. And I think that's something we can all kind of relate to, like protecting the throne, wanting people to be proud of you. So I would hold on to that, and I also made myself the idea that he doesn't see people, as human, you know? He sees them as obstacles, you know? This is somebody that wants to take the throne, and I need to eliminate it. It's as simple as like taking a shower, you know? But it does sort of affect you, especially because you're doing both shows simultaneously, you know? Sometimes there'd be like a really hard torture scene, and I'd just come back from shooting Broad City, and I'd be like, they're like, "You're doing Jaime." I was like, "Oh, shit." My bad, you know? But it was, and I gotta tell you, I really feel more prepared. If I can go that dark and come out the other, I believe that as an actor, you have to sacrifice a little bit of yourself. You have to leave a little blood in the water, you know? If I'm asking you to come see me and spend your time watching me, spend your money or whatever, I have to give a little in exchange. And I really do believe that I left something of myself in Colombia, which I'll never get back, and I'm happy to leave. But I'd never learned that lesson before. Yeah.
Let's get some questions from the audience. Who has a question out here?
My
right
son?
here.
Hello, Mr. Castro. Huge fan here. I had a question as an actor. I want to know, how did you transition from theater into film? Like, what was it like transitioning to go into film?
Thankfully, when I was doing theater, I was also doing as many NYU films as I could. You know, as many student films, some that I hope never see the light of day because I sucked in them. But I think it is important as an actor, especially as a theater actor, you know, because theater is all about the text, and film is more of a visual art, you know, so it's more about what we're talking about, stillness, you know, keeping all that contained. So I would recommend fail as much as you can on lower stakes so that once you get to a bigger stakes thing, you just know how to make yourself tick a little more, you know?
Next question.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. I was wondering, what was the funniest moment on set on Broad City?
Funniest moment on set. I don't know about funny. I mean, it was definitely funny, but it was also when we shot the citizenship episode, it was one of my favorite things that it's ever happened in my entire life. Like, we were shooting, imagine like living with, being with Hannibal and John Gemberling Bevers and Avi and Alana on a boat going around Manhattan. Like, the sunset would come down, there's a Statue of Liberty, and you're just like cracking jokes and shooting. So I don't know about funny, but it was definitely the most fun I've ever had on a set.
Next question. Right here.
Hey.
Hey, man.
So I was wondering, do you feel any less pressure, or do you like enjoy working on a project where you have a little bit more control, or like if it's your own project, or like Broad City, as opposed to like something like Narcos or like a feature film where you're just kind of like taking direction?
Yeah. Well, there's the thing about working on somebody else's project is your job is just to do the best you can with what you're given, right? Thing about creating something from scratch is definitely the stakes are higher because you can't hide behind some other writer, can't hide behind some a producer. This is your voice. So but I don't like to see it as scary, man. Like, trust me, man. Like, it's not. I don't think I'm not fearless at all, but like, if I can come from where I come from and learn English and be in this, everything else has been gained ever since I got Broad City. It's all a dream come true. So whatever happens with this, I can only be honest to myself, right? And hope with my whole heart that resonates with other people. So I don't know if it's harder, but it's definitely as fun, if not more fun, to be able to have discussions with executives about like, listen, I need 4 pigeons in this shot. They're like, we can't give you 4 pigeons. Like these are grown people, and you're like, sir, there has to be, a helicopter dildo flying in. All right, how many helicopter dildos? You know what I'm saying? It's definitely for the comedy world. It's definitely a fun gig to have. Thank you for your question.
I think we have time for one more right here.
Hi.
Sagittarius.
So I love your character Jaime on Broad City, and I feel as a New Yorker that we all know Jaime. So I was wondering, where did the Jaime voice come from, and did you know a person that's like a Jaime in your life?
I grew up. One of my best friends is my Jaime, and he really is. He always has been, And so I definitely picked inspiration from him. Then I met the real Jaime, which I picked a little inspiration from him. But the voice, again, it was just something that I associate people that I trust and that make me feel like I'm enjoying myself with a high-pitched voice, And so instead of I feel like whenever somebody's talking low, they're like berating me for something, like, you know what I mean? And so I just chose that high-pitched voice, but it was definitely, it's a mix of many people. Yeah. Thank you for your question.
Arturo, I can't wait for your show on Comedy Central when it comes out. But right now, Broad City is on Wednesday nights at 10:30, just after South Park, right? Narcos is on, the season 3 is on Netflix. People can go check it out. Is there anything else I should tell people to watch of yours that they haven't seen, that they can
watch me get a piggyback back to the car? That's going to be awesome.
Thanks again to Arturo Castro, everybody.